What's up YouTube? This is Foxtail Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stocks, and in this video I'm going to be answering all of your questions that you guys had for our Q&A segment. I put a post on social media because I wanted to know what questions a lot of you guys have. I really don't know unless you tell me or write it in the comments. So this was a good way to answer a few questions and clarify some things. This is going to be a two-part video due to the number of questions. I know y'all don't want to sit and listen to 1,000 questions, so I broke it down for you. But first, if this is your first time watching this video, please make sure that you click that thumbs up button. It really helps bring more people to the channel. Also, make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video for you guys. Also, if you're new to options trading and you're stuck on what stocks to trade options on, there's a service called Tiblio. They offer amazing stock option picks as well as credit spreads. So make sure that you check them out. They're constantly updating the list with the best stock picks. So be sure to check out Tiblio. And if you do get Tiblio, make sure that you use my link below so that you get 20% off on your first month. Yeah, that'll all be below. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the first question. How quickly do you need to buy options if you like them? So this, in my opinion, is subjective. When should you get into options if you like them? That question really sounds like, when should you enter the option? You're looking for entry strategies. As far as entry goes, you said that you have a stock that you like. The breakdown is, what does it mean to you that you like it? When you say that you like the stock, are you saying it's trending down? Is it trending up? Honestly, it doesn't even matter what the trend is, but I'll say if you want it, make sure that you picked the trend first. So check the stock out from further back time frame. I'm gonna say 3 months. So actually, let me go ahead. Let's say I have this watch list and I want to get into a stock. The first thing I would say is to look at the stock on a 3-month to 1 month time frame to find a trend, and then you can zoom in closer. So I see that it's uptrending on 3 months. I see it's uptrending on 1. 5 days is still uptrending, so you can zoom in. Now, as far as the entry point, that's when you're going to use your indicators. Now, there's hundreds of different indicators out there, but the few that I talk about are the RSI indicator, the MACD, and the EMA lines specifically. So when you see an EMA crossover, hold on, let me see. Okay, so this has 3 different EMA lines on here. Okay. So when you see an EMA crossover with a shorter time frame line crossing over the long term, that would be an entry point. That's just with your EMA lines. Also, you can come down here to your RSI indicator. When you see that your RSI may be on whatever chart, if you're on your 3-month chart, 1-week chart, look at your RSI indicator. When you see that the RSI has a pattern, it's already in a trend. You have an RSI that has a pattern, and then you see that the RSI may be a little bit oversold. So you see the RSI is anywhere between 30 and 40. If you see it's in between a 30 and 40 range, you can go ahead and get in there. Really just use your indicators, and that's pretty much going to be my answer to that question. Okay, next. How do you cash out a stock? Okay, so cash out. I was a little bit confused with this question, so I just Googled what cash out means. I assumed that it meant to just take your money out, like to sell the stock, but here's the actual definition. Cash out is accepting money in exchange for something that represents value. So stocks are something that you consider a liquid asset, but they're a lot faster to transform into money versus something like real estate, cars, or even jewelry. To cash out, you just basically close the position, just sell it. But yeah, so I see this green witch, I'm up on that, so I might want to go ahead and jump out of there. So just click trade. Now this is on Webull. It would be the same on any platform, but you just click sell. I like to do limit sells. That gives you more control over what price you sell it. So if you do the market sell, it's just going to sell it at the lowest price that you can sell it for. But if you do a limit, then you'll be able to have a limit of what price that you do. So yeah, just sell the stock. How are taxes paid when it comes to stocks and dividend growth? So if you're holding shares of a stock in a regular brokerage account, you will probably have to pay taxes. Those are capital gains anytime that you sell stocks for a profit. So let me go back. This is on Webull. It's going to be the same in Robinhood. TD Ameritrade, they're gonna give you this information. So you go down here and you see your tax documents. So any trading account that you have is going to provide for you your tax documents for that trading year. I'm not really gonna get into it too much, but it's just gonna give you all this information. And there are two types of capital gains as far as stock taxes. You have short-term and long-term capital gains. With the short term, you'll pay more taxes on profits when you hold stocks for less than a year. So if you're like me and you jump in and out of stocks every day, every week, then you're probably going to be paying more taxes on that. And long term will require you to hold them for over 1 year. You're going to pay less taxes when you hold on to them longer. People in higher tax brackets tend to pay more taxes for their dividend yields. In general, if you have IRA Roth accounts or you have a 401k, you can have stocks in those accounts, and as long as you keep your money in there, it's tax-free. You won't have to pay taxes on that money or the interest, dividends, anything. So if you're making profits and you take them out of your portfolio, that's when you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. I'll have a more detailed video about taxes coming soon, but that's pretty much just going to be it for that question. Next, is it bad to have too many stock apps or brokerage accounts open at once? Okay, so with this question, it's definitely not illegal to have different stock brokerage accounts open. If you see here, I have Robinhood, Thinkorswim, and Webull, honey. Stop playing. I feel like if you had to list out on a pros and cons list, the pros would definitely outweigh the cons of having multiple stock brokerage accounts. If you have more than one account, I feel like the only thing that you really need to worry about is just making sure that you don't forget your money in a certain account. So let's say if you have some plays, just make sure to keep checking that. Also, make sure that you pay taxes on whatever you have for profits in your separate accounts. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think having different accounts is beneficial because not every brokerage offers the same things, and some are better at certain things than other ones. I know I use Webull a lot for my crypto. I'll use Robinhood just for spreads or long-term holds. I use Thinkorswim to use the stock charts and the scanners. You might want to do penny stocks. Every brokerage doesn't offer penny stocks, and maybe just options or maybe only spreads. So if you have different accounts open, that gives you more room to, have different plays. Just do what you will with that information. Next question. So when you open up a brokerage account, is it like opening a credit card? I feel like this question is asking, when you open a brokerage account, does that leave negative marks somewhere? Okay, so if you're checking something like your credit health, you have different things like payment history, credit card utilization, derogatory marks, things like that. It's not the same when you have stock brokerage accounts. So is there something somewhere that's calculating how many stock accounts that you have open, and the more you have, is it damaging your investment reputation? I'd say no. Similar to what we talked about in the previous question, just make sure that you keep up with your accounts, paying your taxes on the profits in those accounts. Next question. How much of my savings should I invest? That's a good question. I really get that question a lot. And first of all, I just want to say, I'm going to put a link below, but make sure you guys watch the how to invest with $100 video. I think that's going to be really helpful if you're initially starting out and you want to know how you can utilize that small amount and grow that account. I think that you should only invest what you're comfortable with losing. And I'm not saying that you're going to lose it. I'm just saying that that's the mindset that you should bring when you're investing anything. Also, keep in mind your risk to return ratio. The less money you invest, the less you stand to lose, but also the less amount that you're probably going to gain or profit. But the more you invest, the more you stand to profit. It's a life cycle. So just think about it like that. Next question. Why are my dividends only 10 cents? So I really don't talk about dividends a lot on my channel. I probably should do more with that, and I probably will in the future. But as far as that goes, that just depends on the stock that you're investing in and the amount of dividends that they pay out and how many shares of that stock that you have. So not all stock dividends are low. Companies like AT&T and Realty Income pay between 4% and 5%. every year. So that's pretty good considering it's free money. So your dividend payout is going to depend on the number of shares that you actually hold in that company. So if you have low dividends, you might just have a low number of shares in the stock. And this is just on Webull. I'm going to show you, how you can see what dividends. Okay, so I hear a lot of people saying that if you do it correctly, dividends can pay out your bills for the year. You just have to calculate it right. So let's just say, for example, your bills are $5,000 per month. That's going to be $60,000 a year. Let's say you have a stock with an 8% dividend payout every year. So you're going to do 60,000 divided by 8%, and that's going to give you 750,000. That's 750,000 invested at 8% dividend, and that's going to give you 60,000 annual income confirmed. So if you invested $750,000 in a company with 8% dividend payout, then you're basically going to get paid $5,000 per month. That's going to basically be $60,000 a year. So that'll pay your bills. Just try it out. I haven't tried it yet. I don't have $750,000 to put anywhere, but just something to think about. The dividend yields. Okay, we're almost finished, you guys. Stay focused. Next question. When a trade is increasing in value, when do you sell it? When do you know when to sell it and when to hold? All right. So this question is similar to the previous question that we have, and I'm just gonna say go off of your entry and exit signals. Look at your indicators. For example, if you're holding onto a stock and it's going up, it's in an uptrend on the 3-month chart, you're gaining value holding that stock until you start to see a crossover. So let me just use this one for example. What is this? Okay, it's the same one. Yeah, this is a good stock. So let's say you're holding on to it. I'm looking for a downtrend. I mean, I'm really not. Okay, yeah, right here. Let's say you're holding on to it, you're gaining value, and you start to see a crossover. So you see this crossover right here with these EMA lines. If you see a fast crossover and you're moving averages, then go ahead and get out. If you see that the stock chart has an RSI that's starting to become overbought, it's starting to reach that 70, 80 mark. Actually, no, not even that. That 60 to 70 mark. Let's look down at the RSI. You see right there when it started to drop, the RSI is getting a little high. So if you see that your stock chart has an RSI that's becoming overbought, maybe on a month or 3-month chart, get out unless this is a completely long-term hold and you're holding onto it for years. But for me, those are signals for me that I need to go ahead and jump out of the stock so that I can cushion myself for more profit losses. Next question. So when buying in the money options, they show you the in the money calls, but as soon as you buy it, it drops. Why? Who is they? Okay, who is showing you these in the money options? I want to know that. As far as that goes, I would need to see your portfolio and the in the money option that you're investing in. What is the expiration date that you're choosing? What are the strike prices? Well, you already said in the money, so I'm assuming that it's below the stock price, but what are the expiration dates? What are the Greeks? Are you checking out your Greeks? So if it's in the money and you have a call or a put that's in the overall trend of the stock, these are important factors to think about before going into any option trade. I know sometimes in my first day or so of making swing trade investments, I might see some losses. I've seen as much as $500 to $1,000 lost on one swing trade during a swing down. But the next day or so during a swing up, I'll have profits that will double that and then some. So as far as that goes, that might mean that you may have gotten into the trade a little bit early. If you're planning on swing trading it, you know that this is a trending stock, you're trading with the trend, then it's probably going to continue in that trend. So if it drops, I really just want to say don't panic. If you already have your strategies in play, you're already in the trend, don't panic. Next question. How to find stocks and how to know which ones to hold long term or just a few days to a week. You find stocks through screeners. I see so many people sign up to these paid groups and discords, which I don't knock at all. I don't have a problem with that. But don't blindly go into a trade just because somebody said it. That is one of the worst things that you can do. I know a lot of people make money from that, but know what you're buying. Are you gonna invest? Would you buy a house and not look at it or know why you're buying it or know the history? Who was in there? No. What's the property value? Come on. Do your own research. I have videos on Webull Stocks screeners and thinkorswim. So I'm just gonna show you right here. Actually, the video I just put out was on how to use Webull screeners, thinkorswim scanners. That's how you're going to find your stocks. So just looking right here, we made a swing trade scanner. These are some really good swing trade picks. So let's just go ahead and let's see what's up. Let's pick one. Uptrend looks good. So yeah, you have screeners that are going to show you stocks that you can pick, and you can have different screeners with different criteria. They're going to show you just different things. I mainly use thinkorswim screeners to find my stocks, but you can set different parameters and filters to find whatever stocks that fit trading criteria, like day trading, swing trading, credit spreads, RSI movements, and so much more. It's absolutely amazing what you can do with stock screeners. Next question. Do most people exercise their contracts if it's not in the money? Okay. I can't speak for anybody else, but I've never personally exercised a contract. When you exercise a contract, that's basically saying that you're going to buy the 100 shares of whatever stock that is at the strike price. For me, I really just trade the option for the option value and not actually buying the 100 shares. Like I said, I can't speak for other people's money, but in my experience, a lot of new investors may not have enough to actually buy 100 shares of any stock that's trading options. That can be a little expensive for new traders. But of course, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do that. So it's really a tough question to give an answer on, whether it's in the money or out of the money. That's pretty much all I have for that. Yeah, that's gonna be it for part one. Thank you guys so much. These are all questions from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So these are questions that people were wondering, and I'm hoping that this answered those questions for you. We have a whole nother segment coming, a whole nother part two that we're gonna do. I think that one, actually those questions were a little bit better than this, but I'll let you decide on that. Leave a comment below if you guys have any questions or if you have any feedback on my answer and responses to your questions. Also, make sure that you click that thumbs up button, subscribe, click the notification bell, check out some of the merch that I have down below, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right.